In the deep golden plains where the earth meets the sky, a rhinoceros woke with the first light of dawn. The air was cool, soft mist moved across the grass, and the sound of distant birds rose with the morning. The rhinoceros stood still, feeling the rhythm of the land, every breath slow and heavy, every step echoing through the sleeping world. The scent of wet soil touched its senses, reminding it of countless mornings before, yet this one felt different. Somewhere inside its quiet heart, an old feeling was stirring, a calling, a longing it could not name. The rhinoceros moved across a sea of grass that waved like water in the wind. The sky stretched endlessly, painted with soft clouds that drifted without direction. It walked slowly, not searching for food or water, but something else, something unseen. The land was white and full of life, yet the rhinoceros felt alone, as if the whole world was whispering secrets it could not understand. Sometimes, it paused and listened, but there was only silence, deep and endless. As it walked, the rhinoceros remembered the storms that had once burned through the forest, the smell of smoke, the cries of frightened animals, the black ashes that covered the ground. It remembered standing strong against the fire, refusing to run, feeling the heat crackle across its skin. Then came the rain, falling for days, turning the blackened earth into rivers of life again. Through fire and rain, the rhinoceros had survived, but the loneliness never left. Every scar on its skin told a story, but no one had ever listened. One day, the rhinoceros reached a river so still that it mirrored the sky perfectly. The surface was smooth like glass, reflecting its great horn and weary eyes. It bent to drink, and the reflection trembled, breaking into ripples, as if the image itself was alive. In that moment, the rhinoceros saw not just its body, but its journey, the endless days of wandering, the strength that carried it through, and the sadness that never left. The wind touched the water, and for a moment, it felt as if the world was whispering comfort. Dark clouds gathered above, the wind grew wild, and the sound of thunder rolled like drums across the plains. The rhinoceros did not hide, it faced the storm with unshaken calm. Rain fell hard, washing away the dust, lightning split the sky, and the ground trembled. Yet the rhinoceros stood, unbroken, powerful, and silent. The storm was fierce, but when it passed, the world smelled new again. The rhinoceros lifted its head and felt something pure in the air, something like renewal, as if the storm had washed away not only the dirt but the weight of sorrow itself. When the world grew quiet again, a sound came faintly through the trees, a deep echo, slow and distant, the unmistakable call of another rhinoceros. The lonely heart froze, the breath caught, the world seemed to hold still. It listened again, and the call came once more, full of life and strength. The rhinoceros began to move, slowly at first, then faster, driven by a pulse older than memory. It crossed rivers, climbed rocky hills, and pushed through dense forests, guided only by that voice that felt like hope. After a long and endless journey, the rhinoceros saw another shape across the golden field. The air shimmered with heat, and the sound of birds faded into silence. The two rhinoceroses walked closer, their eyes meeting across the distance. No words, no sound, only understanding. They stood together beneath the great red sun, their shadows stretching long across the earth. In their quiet eyes was the story of pain, endurance, and life itself. The loneliness that once haunted the world vanished, replaced by something vast and peaceful. As darkness fell, the two rhinoceroses stood side by side under the stars. The night was cool, and the sound of insects filled the air. They did not speak, for there was no need. The silence between them was warm, gentle, and complete. The stars above shimmered like tiny fires, and the wind carried the scent of rain. The rhinoceros closed its eyes and dreamed not of loneliness, but of rivers, grass, and endless skies shared with another soul. When morning came, the sky was painted in gold and silver. The rhinoceroses walked together through the open plains, their steps strong and steady. The world seemed brighter, the air lighter, the songs of birds sweeter. Together they faced the horizon, moving toward the unknown with quiet courage. For the first time, the rhinoceros did not feel lost. It had found a reason to walk, a reason to breathe, a reason to belong. As seasons passed, the two rhinoceroses lived as part of the land. They roamed through forests, crossed rivers, and watched the stars return again and again. The wild accepted them, the earth remembered them, and the sky blessed them. When the rains came, they stood together. When the sun burned, they rested in shade. The loneliness that once shaped the heart of the rhinoceros was gone forever, replaced by peace as vast as the sky. And in the deep silence of the wild, where time itself seems to sleep, the story of the rhinoceros became one with the wind, a whisper that would never fade. The days passed quietly, the sky stretched wide with the color of peace, and the rhinoceros walked through lands touched by gentle winds. The air carried the soft hum of insects, the whisper of grass, and the distant call of birds. Every moment felt calm, like the earth was breathing slowly with the rhinoceros. Together with its companion, it learned to listen to silence, to feel the world rather than fight it. In that silence, it found balance, the kind that only time and stillness can teach. They reached a forest so ancient that even the air felt wise. The trees rose high, covered in green moss and hanging vines, and the ground was cool under their heavy feet. Every step echoed softly, as if the forest remembered their arrival. The rhinoceros stopped often, feeling a strange sense of belonging, as though the trees had seen it before in another time, another life. The forest spoke through the rustle of leaves, through the creak of branches, and in that deep voice of nature, the rhinoceros heard something sacred, a truth older than memory. One night, the rhinoceroses came to a river shining under the full moon. The water glowed silver, and the reflection of the stars trembled like dreams on the surface. They stood at the edge, the moonlight wrapping them in a quiet embrace. The night was soft, and the sound of flowing water seemed like music made for the soul. The rhinoceros looked at its reflection again, but this time it did not see loneliness. It saw strength, companionship, and the gentle beauty of survival. Far across the plains, thunder rolled again, deep and distant. The rhinoceroses lifted their heads, sensing change in the air. The wind carried the smell of rain, the ground pulsed with life, and the sky began to darken. Together, they moved toward shelter, not out of fear, but instinct, guided by the rhythm of the land. The storm came fast, wild and untamed, but as they stood side by side, the lightning only made their horns shine brighter, symbols of life's resilience. When the storm passed, the world was born anew. The grass shimmered under the sun, the soil smelled fresh, and birds sang like the beginning of creation. The rhinoceroses walked through the wet fields, their reflections following them in every puddle. The world felt pure again, full of color and promise. Each step was a heartbeat of hope, a reminder that after every storm, there comes a day like this, full of light, full of reason to keep walking. One afternoon, the wind changed. The forest grew quiet, the birds stopped singing, and the air felt heavy. The rhinoceroses sensed danger, something distant but real. The scent of smoke, the faint noise of metal, and the trembling of the ground spoke of humans nearby. The rhinoceros remembered old fears, the days when danger came not from nature but from those who forgot how to live with it. It led its companion deep into the forest, hidden under the shadows of old trees. The silence of the jungle protected them, wrapping them like armor made of earth and time. For days they moved quietly through narrow paths and thick fog. The valley they entered was covered in mist so deep that even the sun looked pale. The ground was soft, the air cool and sweet. Here, no sound of humans reached, only the distant cry of eagles and the murmur of streams. The rhinoceroses found safety there, and with safety came peace. They rested near a waterfall, where the water danced like crystal, and the world seemed untouched by pain. Seasons passed, and the land bloomed once again. The female rhinoceros grew heavy with new life, and soon the miracle of birth filled the valley with joy. A small calf stood unsteady on its legs, blinking at the world for the first time. The older rhinoceros watched with deep calm, its heart swelling with pride. The circle of life had come full. The loneliness that once filled its soul had now turned into legacy. The cries of the young echoed softly, a promise that the story of the wild would go on. Years went by, and the valley remained untouched, a hidden paradise guarded by time. The rhinoceroses grew old together, walking slower, resting longer, but their spirits never dimmed. They watched the young grow strong, watched the stars return every night, and felt the pulse of the earth beneath their feet. The wild had accepted them, and in return, they gave it everything: strength, patience, and presence. The valley became their sanctuary, a place where peace was not a dream but a living truth. In the end, the rhinoceros stood once more at the river where the journey had begun long ago. The moon reflected softly on the water, and the air was calm. It looked to the sky, then to the land, and felt only gratitude. The journey had been long, filled with storms and sunlight, sorrow and joy, but it had been beautiful. The rhinoceros closed its eyes and listened to the sound of the world, the song of the earth, the heartbeat of everything alive. It knew then that nothing truly ends, that every breath becomes part of the wind, every step becomes memory, and every soul, like its own, becomes eternal in the rhythm of the wild. The valley rested under golden skies, and the rhinoceros watched the sun rise beyond the distant hills. The light spilled over the grass, soft and warm, touching every leaf, every drop of dew. The air was full of life, and yet so still that it felt sacred. The rhinoceros breathed deeply, feeling the weight of years lifting with every breeze. The young calf played nearby, chasing butterflies, unaware of the world's dangers. For the old rhinoceros, every sunrise had become a gift, every heartbeat a quiet miracle. The seasons turned once again. The air grew colder, and the grass turned pale. The rhinoceros could feel time pressing softly on its body, like a gentle hand reminding it of the end. Yet, there was no fear, only peace. It watched the young grow strong, their horns rising proudly, their steps firm and sure. The circle of life had continued, as it always does. The rhinoceros closed its eyes and listened to the world breathing, knowing that the wild would remember what words never could. The young rhinoceros, curious and bold, wandered far beyond the valley. The elder watched with pride and worry, feeling both the beauty and the pain of letting go. Across rivers and open plains, the young one discovered a world vast and untamed. It faced the sun, the rain, and the unknown with courage born of love and legacy. Somewhere in the whisper of wind, the elder's strength guided it, unseen but never absent. Deep within a forest untouched by time, the young rhinoceros paused. The air was thick with mist, and the sound of distant waterfalls echoed through the trees. It felt a strange familiarity, as if the land itself carried memories of its kind. Every sound, every breath of wind felt alive, whispering stories of ancestors who had once walked the same path. The forest welcomed it, wrapping its silence around like an embrace from the past. One night, a storm arrived without warning. The rain fell like arrows, the sky cracked open with light, and the ground turned to rivers of mud. The rhinoceros fought the storm not with fear, but with patience. It moved carefully, step by step, through the chaos of wind and water. The storm lasted for hours, testing every strength it had. When dawn came, the forest sparkled with light, and the rhinoceros stood tall, unbroken, proud, and alive. It had survived another chapter of nature's trial, and that survival was its victory. When the skies cleared, the rhinoceros reached a vast open land covered with golden grass. The wind moved through it like waves across the sea. Birds glided overhead, their shadows dancing across the earth. The rhinoceros walked through that endless beauty, its horn glinting in the sun. The world felt eternal, full of song and memory. Every sound, every scent, every color reminded it that to live is to belong, and to belong is to love the land that gives you life. One evening, the young rhinoceros returned to the valley. The elder waited by the river, its reflection soft in the fading light. Their eyes met, and in that gaze, countless memories passed between them. No words, no sound, only the understanding of time. The elder touched the young gently, a silent blessing, a farewell that spoke of love, strength, and destiny. The river flowed quietly beside them, carrying the reflection of both the past and the future, side by side. The day came when the elder rhinoceros stood still beneath a red sky. The air was warm, the grass shimmered, and the birds sang softly as if to honor its journey. It looked toward the horizon, the same one it had followed all its life. With one slow breath, it closed its eyes and rested. The wind carried its spirit gently through the plains, through the forests, through the rivers it had once crossed. The earth held it close, taking it home. The valley was quiet under a full moon. The younger rhinoceroses gathered near the river, feeling something beyond sight, beyond sound. The night air was filled with peace, as though the land itself remembered the footsteps that once walked there. The river glowed silver, and the stars seemed to whisper blessings. Life continued, but the spirit of the elder rhinoceros lived within every breeze, every heartbeat of the wild. As dawn rose again, the young rhinoceroses began to walk toward the horizon, their shadows long and proud. The world stretched endlessly before them, full of promise and mystery. The cycle had turned, the story renewed. Somewhere in the wind, the voice of the elder whispered softly, a message carried across time to live with courage, to walk with peace, to never stop searching for the beauty within the wild. And so they walked on, strong, silent, eternal, as the sun bathed the earth in gold. The morning came soft and golden, the sky washed clean by the night's mist, and the young rhinoceroses stood quietly by the river. The sound of the water carried a rhythm older than time, a whisper that spoke of the past and the future. The world felt different now, not sad, not empty, but full of quiet remembrance. Every breeze that passed through the valley seemed to carry the breath of the one who had walked before them. Life had changed, but the spirit of the wild lived on, stronger than ever. The rhinoceroses began to roam beyond the valley again, crossing open lands where the wind spoke freely. The plains stretched endlessly, golden under the sun, wild under the sky. Each step they took felt like a continuation of a story written by the earth itself. The scent of flowers, the hum of insects, and the soft sound of hooves created a song of existence. The wild was their temple, and in its silence, they found truth. After weeks of dry wind and burning sun, dark clouds gathered across the horizon. The air turned heavy, the sky trembled with thunder, and soon the rain fell, pure and strong. The rhinoceroses lifted their faces toward the sky, feeling every drop as a gift. The earth drank deeply, rivers awakened, and green life rose again from the dust. The rain was not only water, it was a promise that every end carries a beginning, that every dry land waits for renewal. One afternoon, while wandering through thick grass and tall reeds, the rhinoceroses discovered a hidden lake, calm and wide, surrounded by whispering trees. The surface shone like glass, reflecting the soft blue of the sky. They walked into the cool water, feeling peace settle over them like a soft cloud. The lake seemed untouched by time, a secret place meant only for the ones who had earned rest. It became their new home, a place where peace and purpose lived together. At night, when the moon rose above the lake, the air filled with fireflies. Tiny lights moved in patterns, floating above the water like drifting stars. The rhinoceroses watched them, still and quiet, their reflections glowing softly in the dark. The night no longer felt empty. The world was alive, beautiful, and endless. The rhinoceroses stood there for hours, wrapped in that gentle light, feeling as though they were part of the sky itself. As seasons turned again, more rhinoceroses came from distant lands. Some young, some old, all carrying stories of their own. The valley that once held silence now echoed with the sound of hooves and breath. The herd grew, and with it, the rhythm of life became stronger. No longer a symbol of loneliness, the rhinoceros had become the keeper of balance, the heart of the plains, the guardian of peace. One night, the sky opened wider than ever before. Millions of stars shone across the darkness, each one pulsing with quiet fire. The rhinoceroses gathered near the lake, their eyes reflecting the heavens. In that silence, it felt as though the universe itself was watching, breathing, and remembering. The world seemed small beneath the stars, yet full of meaning. The wild was infinite, and so was the spirit that lived within it. As the herd slept, the eldest rhinoceros dreamed. It saw a vast plain of light, where no fear existed, only calm. In the dream, a great horned shadow stood upon a hill, silent and strong, the same presence that had guided them all. It was not death the elder saw, but peace, a return to the beginning of everything. When it awoke, it did not speak, but its eyes held a glow that told the others they were never alone. The world turned once more, and new calves were born. Their cries filled the valley like soft songs of renewal. The older rhinoceroses watched them run through the tall grass, their steps light, their energy pure. The circle of life continued, flowing like a river that never ends. Each sunrise brought new stories, and the spirit of the wild grew stronger through every generation. The lake shimmered beneath the golden sunset, and the herd stood silently watching. The world around them breathed, vast and free. The wind moved gently through the trees, the water rippled softly, and the sound of life filled the air. The rhinoceroses stood not as wanderers, but as part of the earth's soul. Their journey had no end, for the wild was eternal, and within that eternity, their story would live forever, whispered through every leaf, every breeze, every heartbeat of the land.